Hey everybody, I'm just giving you a little bit of an update on an upcoming evaluation deadline. This is really for non-professional teaching status teachers. That's the only people that we're going to assign it to. It's this evidence submission and update. What I'm going to draw your attention to in Google Classroom here is this tab for professional growth and evaluation. All of the evaluation resources that we sent out in October are here. The one that I'm going to talk about mostly right here is this evaluation timeline. So you'll notice 115, that's 2 weeks after we get back in the new year here. We ask you to submit 2 pieces of evidence for each goal, and then we'll complete a formative assessment, and then we'll have a collaborative meeting where we kind of discuss that formative assessment or formative evaluation. So that's kind of the timeline here. Let's talk about what we're asking here on 115. So for evidence, those of you who were here last year know that we used Baseline Edge. Now we're transitioning to TeachPoint. TeachPoint has not really been fully implemented, so we're working on a lot of the kinks, and actually in some cases, just the NPTS teachers using it this year will work out some of these kinks for everybody. So within TeachPoint, there is a form called the Directory of Evidence, but rather than split between this form that you already created and one in TeachPoint, we're going to try to unify those two things into this pretty simple and straightforward Directory of Evidence that we'll use this year or the midpoint as well as at the end of the year. So as you can see here, the mid-year check-in is what we're looking for here. The January 15th is the deadline to submit this. Thanks to Amy for creating the form and simplifying it here. All we're looking for the 3 goals, so one of these you did not choose, you don't have to fill that in. And the 4 standards from the teaching rubric, we're looking for 1 to 2 pieces of evidence. So what could evidence be? It could be a screenshot for instructional technology. It could be a screenshot of your Google Classroom organization, or even a link to one of the videos that you've produced for the day, or whatever it might be that demonstrates sort of the intuitive design, if that's the goal that you chose, or whatever goal it is that you sort of selected there. For teaching all students, it could be a particular graphic organizer that you utilized. It could be the self-assessments for all of these things that we had you guys take a look at. That could be one of the things that you use here as well. For the teaching rubric standards, you could certainly use anything within the domains. And if you want to click here, it gives you a little bit all of the different indicators under those standards. You can choose one that you want to particularly develop or present evidence for. Notice that there's also some overlap here, that there's a goal and then there's also a standard, but teaching all students is one of both. So if you use a piece of evidence for your goal, you could certainly use it for your standard as well, with just a slightly different description of how it shows proficiency versus how it shows sort of progress on your goal. So the reflection does not have to be lengthy, just 1 or 2 sentences that are a brief explanation of how the evidence links to the completion of the goal or how it links to the proficiency within the standard. So what that means is, like, let's say you put in, as I said, that self-assessment. You could say this demonstrates my progress on the goal because I have narrowed down my focus to particular things identified in the self-assessment, and that would show that you've made your way down that goal. So again, you're just trying to reflect very briefly on the piece of evidence and how it connects to your completion or progress on the goal. And same thing down here. This shows my proficiency, or whatever the piece of evidence is, shows my proficiency in curriculum planning and assessment by ... and how it links to it. So it does not have to be lengthy, but it just has to provide the context of the evidence as it relates to the goal or the standard. So you'll fill this form out, hyperlinking that stuff, providing the explanation, and then submitting it back through Google Classroom. As you can see, the evidence, this is going out at 2 p.m. I'm doing this a little bit earlier, but this is going out at 2 p.m. So you'll link it there and resubmit it there. Before, I should say, February 1st, we will complete this form within TeachPoint. So you'll get an email notification from TeachPoint. You have a new form. It'll be called the Formative Evaluation Report. We'll take what you've submitted to us, provide sort of our assessment of the progress that you've made on your goals. We will take a look at the 4 standards as far as where you are on the continuum of the rubric there. We will rate an overall rating based on all of the 4 standards, and then we'll give you a little rational evidence and send that out to you. Then by going back to this timeline, by the 15th, we'll get that to you by the 1st. By the 15th, we'll have a collaborative meeting to go over that, at which time we'll ask you to sign the form and move on from there. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's basically the whole scope of it. Once again, by the 15th, 2 pieces of evidence in this, what we're calling the NPTS Directory of Evidence, hyperlinked in this column, short explanation and context in this column, and away we go. Thank you very much.